you've just joined. Now, it is fairly a bright morning, I must say. At least we've not had those early morning drizzles, so the excuses of getting late to work in case you've not yet gotten there may not grip so much, despite the fact that many of us usually know that we have two rainy seasons, the March to May and of course the August to December. Still, people use rainfall as an excuse. But if you're in the 5 divisions of Kampala, maybe that may come later. For now, ensure you're at your workstation on time to deliver to your clients or your customers. Now, this morning, we are going to be looking at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the 28th Conference of Parties. Now, this is commonly known, abbreviated by many people. When you talk about COP, people click so fast. They pick what you're talking about. Now, we are talking about COP 28. This is going to be running from the 30th of this very month to the 12th of December in the United Arab Emirates, to be more particular, what many people call Dubai. Now, Uganda is going to attend. Earlier on in this program, during international news, we had how Joe Biden has said he may not be, but he's going to send a number of delegations. They will be there. So it is the thing. Climate change is what we are prioritizing globally. And in Uganda, we felt the pinch. Mother Nature has spoken. So the world is so much interested in seeing how we protect our environment. Now, joining me on set to discuss this and more, I have Margaret Atieno Mwebaze, who is the Commissioner Climate Change and also the National Focal Point at the Ministry of Water and Environment. You're most welcome, Madam.
Thank you so much.
And then at my extreme end, I have Dr. Kalistindi Mugaya, who is the Commissioner for Water, Resources, Planning and Regulation, and the Chairperson Program Pavilion Subcommittee of Uganda at the COP 28. Doctor, you're also most welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to begin with, I'll begin with Madam Margaret, Commissioner, just to give my viewer a better understanding when we talk about the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or COP 28.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. Once again, I'm Margaret Atieno Mwebaze. I'm the Commissioner Climate Change and also the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change National Focal Point for Uganda. This is indeed a very, very important time for us as a country. Reason being, Uganda is signatory to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and its implementation instruments. That is the the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement. Those are the instruments that implement the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And Uganda is signatory to all those conventions, which means the Ministry of Water and Environment, and in particular the Climate Change Department, and in particular the Commissioner for Climate Change Department, is the focal point that represents Uganda in these conventions. So the most important thing for us being in these conventions is that we must benefit from these conventions, but also play our role as members or parties to these conventions. That is why Uganda, since 1994, when Uganda signed the convention, we started participating effectively in all the conference of parties, conferences that have been taking place in different parts of the world. So this year, which is the 28th meeting of the Conference of Parties, where Uganda is a member, is going to take place in the Expo City in Dubai, United Emirates, in the United Emirates. And of course, there are very many parties that are going to be part of this, and we have been preparing. It has been a year journey, though it has picked up from around August, September, October, November. So we've been preparing to really position ourselves, both as a country, as East Africa, as Africa Group of Nations, and as least developed countries, So we have been preparing.
Now, with that preparation, when we have such big summits, such big conferences, what runs through my mind is what is on top of Uganda's agenda at the COP28.
Thank you so much. I want to emphasize here that, one, Uganda has been preparing. But as I said, we prepare within the different areas. As Uganda, we've been preparing, but prior to that, we also have been preparing as East Africa. You remember in September, I was here again. We talked about the Africa Climate Week and Summit. We were part of those preparations. And as East Africa, we came up with our position. I mean, as Africa, we also had our position. But also as East African community, we've been preparing. We have our position as East Africa community, but also as Uganda. We also have our position as Uganda. But finally, we belong to 3 negotiation blocks. That is the least developed countries group of negotiators on climate change, the African group of negotiators, where African countries also get together, and we also negotiate under the block of G77 and China. So Uganda is going to push, not really push, we have integrated our position, our interests during the discussions within those blocks, and we have a position. So Uganda, one of our key areas that we really want to emphasize is the loss and damage fund. You know, Uganda is very vulnerable, like most of our least developed countries, because of the impact of climate change. We have had a number of floods, you know, in many parts of our country. Our river banks have burst. You saw it, River Nyamwamba every year is bursting its banks. Recently, the Lake Kafu flooded the Kampala-Chiboga road. And I think even the side of Masindi will soon be flooding. So the impact of climate change is great. So for us, the loss and damage fund, we really want it operationalized, because during COP27 in Egypt, as least developed countries, as Africa Group of Nations and G77 and China, we did negotiate and push that this fund be put in place. So we are very happy that this fund was put in place, but we want to ensure that the modalities are put in place, modalities that will be well easily accessible, because you can put a fund there and we won't be able to touch it.
Just like the carbon trade thing is. I always long to see how I'll benefit from the many forests I will plant and make these dollars, but I remain there.
No, that one you'll benefit. That is another topic. It's a big topic.
So I don't want the loss and damage fund also to follow that area.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what we are really also trying to emphasize, that this should be concretized during COP28, so that our countries, especially the vulnerable countries, the least developed countries, those island countries, can access this fund easily. But also during the COP28, we are going to have the first global stock taking of what we have all done as parties to ensure we reduce on emissions and curb down on the global temperatures to at least 1.5. So that's also something we are really looking forward to, that the global stock take will give us a new direction, because definitely as parties we are not meeting those goals. And also the issue of having the global goal on adaptation, the money on the table for us to access as least developed countries, the $100 billion every year. We want to close that gap as much as possible.
Well, now at least our viewer, you know what our agenda is. And when you talk about access to finances, the loss and damage fund is something that if it sells through, I believe third world countries, least developed countries, because we suffer more, yet our contribution is minimal. Now, Doctor, this time we have a pavilion that is at the COP28. First, tell us about this. I'm really excited. And what kind of conversations are likely to transpire at this Uganda pavilion?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, Uganda will be having a pavilion, and we really appreciate the United Arab Emirates government for giving Uganda a pavilion free of charge and an office. So this pavilion is going to be really Uganda's base. So during the 2 weeks period of COP, we want to make sure that all those who are attending COP from all over the world actually are able to locate to Uganda. We want to showcase our tourism potential, so there's a lot that is going to be done at our pavilion, but also we want to also showcase our culture, but also demonstrate the work Uganda has done in terms of dealing with climate change. As you have rightly said, we are really suffering a lot from climate change, and for us, adaptation is the main priority. So, and we are adapting to impacts of climate change in many ways. If you want to know that there is climate change, of course, you have too much water, as we are seeing flooding. Everywhere in the country right now, most parts of the country are suffering from flooding. After a few months, you actually get those same places suffering from drought. And also sometimes also landslides and all of that. So our focus as a country is to be able to deal with impacts of climate change through adaptation. So at our pavilion, every day of the COP, there is a theme. For example, there will be a theme on water, a theme on food, a theme on health, a theme on technology. Every day there will be a theme. So at Uganda's pavilion, we have sessions that we have organized. From morning, from 9 up to evening around 6 p.m. Every hour we'll be having sessions where we shall be showcasing what we have been able to do in terms of, for example, dealing with climate change, in terms of mitigation, in terms of technology, for example, building capacity. Just to mention that under COP, we are negotiating under different streams. We have negotiations on mitigation. We have negotiations on adaptation, on capacity building, on finance, on technology, on gender issues, agriculture. So every day we'll be showcasing what we have been able to do along those. And we'll be having different stakeholders, again, participating in these activities. So I must say it's going to be very, very exciting. They will be having dialogues. We'll be also having videos on what is happening on the ground. But also we'll be mobilizing resources. At the end of the day, we need money to be able to do what we are supposed to do. So we have a lot of activities, as I said, every day, from morning to evening. Uganda's pavilion will be busy, but also have an office where we want to be engaging our partners. COP is attended by many people, and many of the people who are participating in the COP, some of them are funding partners, others are collaborating partners. So we want them to actually come to our pavilion so that they can hear our story and be able to work with us. We want to get the private sector on board so that they can support us in the various activities. So I must say, having a pavilion is giving us an opportunity to showcase Uganda's potential, but also for people who are looking for us, we'll know where to find us. We'll be having high-level delegates who actually want to have discussion with other high-level delegates for purposes of coordination and collaboration. So we are excited that we have this pavilion, and we hope that the international community and those participating in the COP will actually know where to find us, but also we'll be able to tell Uganda's story during a COP. Thank you.
Very interesting that we shall have where to exhibit and showcase the various achievements, and of course Uganda there. And I think this is the first time you're having a pavilion?
Yes, indeed. This is the first time we are having a pavilion. So really we're excited. Previous COPs, I must say, has been tough. Would be, for example, refugees on other people's pavilions. Sometimes you find you want to meet delegates, and you are looking around where you can meet. So this time we are really well prepared to actually engage the partners, because we have our home. Again, we have a pavilion and an office. So all of those are going to give us opportunity really to engage with our partners.
Now, this brings me back to Commissioner. How different is COP28 from other conferences?
Thank you so much. I think this COP is going to be very unique this time. One, I had earlier talked about it. We are going to have the first global stock take, where we are assessing ourselves as parties to this convention. How are we performing with respect to reducing these emissions and curbing the temperature, the global temperature rise to at least 2 degrees centigrade, or better still 1.5 degrees centigrade. So we are going to have a global stock take, and a report on that will be given. But of course, from what we know so far, we are not doing well as parties. The temperatures are still rising, and it means that countries or parties will have to have more ambitious climate action plans and must implement them. So it is going to be quite exciting that we really mobilize more resources. We need more resources. And as my colleague Commissioner has said, we need to have more of these dialogues. We need, apart from the negotiations that will be going on, we need to have a number of these side bilaterals with the different potential partners who can finance some of our activities, including the private sector.
Very interesting, including the private sector. But you see also the time factor there.
Yeah, the private sector, in fact, has been very vibrant in this country. Even we are working with some of them, and the private sector includes even the banks. We have investors who want to come in. We are working with them. We have both national and international private sector that are really working with us. You'll be amazed during the preparations of this COP28 as a country. We've had a cross-section of stakeholders being part and parcel of this, the preparations.
Now, going back to Doctor, you talked about the pavilion, the office we have. I'm also interested in knowing Uganda's delegation to such conference of opportunity, COP28.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can say Uganda's delegation is really composed of people because of the different roles they will play. We have a team that is part of the Uganda's negotiators. As we said, we are negotiating as Uganda, but we negotiate as East Africa, as least developed countries, and G77 and China. So we have a team of negotiators, and these are people who are following up the different issues. For example, we have a team that is following up negotiations on climate financing. We are now talking about, for example, loss and damage fund. So we have a team that is there, which is ensuring that Uganda's voice and interests are catered for. We have a team that is negotiating on adaptation, on mitigation, on technology, on capacity building. Capacity building is very, very important. You may even actually have the money, but if you don't have the capacity to even prepare projects to utilize that money, you cannot use it, even to implement. Then, of course, technology. We need technology. Again, things are changing. We need technology. And, of course, issues of gender. Then agriculture has taken center stage. So we have a team which is already in the COP. Some are already there. Others are going. Some of us are going this week. Going there to negotiate. And so that's part of the delegation. Then also have high-level delegates. And for this time around, Uganda will be led by the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda, Right Honorable Prime Minister Ruben Anabanja. And then we have high-level delegates at the political level. We have ministers, we have members of parliament. Then, of course, we have also high-level technical people, permanent secretaries, directors, commissioners. That is from government. And, of course, we have representation from mainstream government, the agencies, and also associated organizations. But also have the youth. This time around, the youth have mobilized themselves very, very strongly, and they are going to be part of all of these engagements because we say today is in the hands of the youth. We cannot forget them. So we have organized them under Uganda Youth Council, and they are going in part to join the negotiation, but also part of the other discussion, the side events. We have the private sector, and as Commissioner Margaret has mentioned, the private sector has come in very, very strongly, again, to take advantage of the opportunities climate change brings in terms of investments, but also mobilizing resources. When we talk about climate financing, the private sector are key also in ensuring that we utilize these resources. We need them to support us, but also they can also co-finance some of these activities. Then we also have the civil society. They are there. We have cultural institutions very much present, religious institutions. So the delegates are coming in under negotiations, but also have a number of side events. As I told you, over a 2 weeks period, our pavilion will be very busy with side events. So there are people are going there as part of our delegates, running the events, but also many other countries and organizations also have pavilions. So we have a number of side events. This is going to be an opportunity for networking, for cutting deals. So we have delegates who are going there to actually talk about funding from the different partners. So I must say it's a whole country that is represented, coming in from the different stakeholders. But of course the media is very much present. UBC is also going to be there with other media houses so that they can pass over the message the Ugandans will not be able to participate. And also expect that some sessions will be online, so some people will not be able to participate will be there. So there will be virtual delegates, but there will also be physical delegates that will be in Dubai. Thank you.
Well, we are still discussing COP28, which is going to be happening in the United Arab Emirates, and I have guests that really are giving us so much information. It is all about climate change. How do you ensure we adopt? How do we ensure that we reduce the impact of damage? And one of the things that caught my attention when Commissioner Margaret mentioned the Loss and Damage Fund that is key for Africa, for developing countries, to see how can we assess this money, how can we make good use of it. Well, I'll now go for a short break, but when I return, my guests are here and we are still discussing COP28. Don't forget, it is running from the it is going to be running from the 30th of this very month, and it will end on the 12th of December in the United Arab Emirates. We'll return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy, wanawoli.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Robert Chirabo and I have guests with whom we are discussing COP28 that is going to be happening in the United Arab Emirates. That is from the 30th of this very month till the 12th of December. Now, what is interesting is, what are we getting from this as Africa, as East Africa, as Uganda? Yes, it is a conference. We are seeing so many countries of the world coming together. Very many heads of states are going to be there. Very many governments are going to be well represented. But how are we going to ensure that Africa's interests are covered? And I want to put this to you, Commissioner Margaret.
Yes, thank you so much, Robert. As we have both said, Uganda does not negotiate as a standalone. We negotiate through 3 different blocks: Africa Group of Negotiators, the least developed countries, and G77 and China. So all these pre-preparatory meetings we've been having, we have pushed our agenda as Uganda within those negotiation blocks. But I want to emphasize, what are we going to get out of all this? You know, the most important thing now, Uganda is an adaptation country. It is our priority. The climate change is with us, it is hitting us, we need to adapt. So what we really need, and we are going to emphasize, is the loss and damage fund. We want it to be operationalized, but let it be accessible. Easily accessible. We do not want these bureaucracies put the money under multi-donor banks or some. We want something that where we, even if it is put under those banks, let it be accessible, easily accessible, and we reduce on the bureaucracies to access these funds. The other one is the technology development and transfer. As Dr. Callister said, even if we have all this money and we don't have the technology, we shall not be able to effectively utilize this money. So we want all the developed countries, the good technologies that are being developed in those countries, to be transferred to us. For example, we are talking of reducing usage of biomass as energy. But as Uganda, as Africa, you know that we are going to depend on our biomass, the firewood, for so many other years to come. But, of course, we can be helped through these technology developments. If it is transferred to our countries, they are easily accessible, like improved cook stoves. Let them be easily accessible, affordable by everybody, so that we can reduce on some of these usage of biomass. That is technology transfer. Capacity building. We know that under UNFCCC a lot of capacity building takes place, and as a country, because we are members to the UNFCCC, a lot of capacity building programs come in, and our country, and at times we do benefit from this. But we want capacity building in some of these very unique areas, like the carbon markets and trading, which you talked about. That is a very unique area, and it cuts across all nations in the world. We all need capacity building in that aspect, so that we can all benefit from this trade. Uganda, in its National Climate Change Action Plan, mentioned that we shall use our credits or money we shall earn from carbon trading to implement some of our action plans in that climate change action plan. So we need to do it very well. So we need that capacity building. We need to have the systems in place. We need everything to prepare the country in order to do it very well. Yes, thank you.
Well, our interests, we are not going there as Uganda on our own. We are going there as a region and as Africa to ensure we add forces and get what is very important for us. COP28 is a garden of opportunities. Dr. Callis talked about the very many opportunities that are there. But this brings me to ask, who are our partners, Doctor, in this COP28?
Thank you very much. Yes, I can categorize partners in 2 categories. We have international partners. These are partners who work with us, who help us to mobilize resources. For example, we get climate financing from Adaptation Fund, from Global Environment Facility, from Green Climate Fund. These are international partners. So we want to engage with them during COP. And at our pavilion, we're actually inviting them to come and work with us, see what we have been able to do with some of the resources they have given us so that we can attract them to actually give us more. As Commissioner Margaret has mentioned, accessing climate financing has been difficult. On average, getting funding from climate change takes you not less than 2 years. And that's when you are really working around the clock. So we have not been able to mobilize as much as we should because of the bureaucracies and also the lengthy processes. But we have been able to get some funds to help us implement projects on the ground from those climate financing partners. So during COP, we want to have discussions with them and get them to appreciate what we have been able to do, but also we share with them the challenges we have faced so that we can improve really the modality of accessing these funds. They are already aware, but we want to have discussions with them so that we can address these challenges. We have also UN agencies who are partners. They support us. For example, we have UNDP, we have Food and Agriculture Organization, UNEP, many others. So again, they work with us. Some of them are supporting our programs in the country, but also some of them are supporting our activities during COP, funding some people, and also funding some activities at the pavilion. But also we also have international private sector that are interested in actually working in Uganda. Those that are interested, for example, in carbon trading, they will be there with us. Some of them have sessions at our pavilion. Then, of course, we have those organizations that would want to maybe invest in Uganda, those that would want to take advantage of our tourism potential. So those are international partners, and all of those are going to be with us during COP. But at the country level, we have many, many partners, as we mentioned. We have mobilized the whole government, those really who have a big role to play in terms of adaptation, climate change, or mitigation. For example, Ministry of Energy is very, very key. We are talking about energy, moving from really the energy sources that are causing challenges to energy sources that actually are helping us to live with climate change. So we are talking about renewable energy sources. Then, of course, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, of course, links us with the international community, Ministry of Health, and many others. So we have many government agencies and ministries. Then, of course, as we said, we also have the private sector. We have banks going there. We have private sector companies going there. Again, when we are talking about accessing climate financing, we also need to say, when it comes to Uganda, how do we get that money reach the ground? Some studies have been done, and we have found that currently the climate financing we are getting, only 10% is reaching the common person. The rest is actually not reaching, and some of it is even held at the international level. So again, we are saying, let's engage these partners so that we can get that money to reach the common person on the ground. Because the common person is the one that is suffering the challenges, facing the consequences of climate change. And when we have to adapt by taking actions on the ground so that we can take advantage, for example, too much water, store it and use it for irrigation, for example, but also use it to meet other needs. But also want to improve people's livelihoods and incomes, because the poor person cannot actually live with climate change. So we are vulnerable as a country because we don't have money, because we have weak capacities, but also because we are not well prepared. Of course, again, as I mentioned, we have partners here. We have been working with UBC. UBC has been part of our preparations, and that's why I think we are here, and we do appreciate, and other media houses, and of course the youth, as we said, the youth, the civil society, the cultural institutions. So international partners are key. Some of them we have engaged, but many of them we are going to engage them during COP. But national partners have been part of the preparation. We started preparation around July, and we have been having regular meetings where really we have brought the country and all the stakeholders to be part of this preparation. So we do appreciate the partners that have worked with us to ensure that Uganda's views and position is actually well articulated, so that when we reach COP, we speak with one voice. Thank you.
I love the fact that you've mentioned partners and the very good aim of ensuring that Uganda's views East Africa and Africa, because here when it comes to COP, you don't bargain single-handedly, you push as a group. You know, when Doctor, you mentioned about renewable energy, and you mentioned about carbon trade, my heart skips with excitement. You know why? Because today, for many people who thought that let's grow these trees, then we shall cut them for charcoal. Today, Uganda and our government is moving against that. Anyone will tell you today it is very risky to think you're going to transport a truck of charcoal. Yesterday, Monday, police came out saying they're even going to reinforce operations aimed at arresting those in the charcoal business. So when we talk about carbon trade, then I will now grow my trees and earn my dollars. So if it is one of the things, and when we talk about the damage and loss fund also, yes, we may find that these are not just problems, that maybe have some opportunity amidst the issues of climate change. But Commissioner Margaret, as we move out of here, let me just have your parting shot.
Oh, thank you so much, Robert. I would like to say that Uganda is prepared. We have prepared the country as the lead Ministry of Water and Environment, of course, together with all our other partners, that is ministries, departments, agencies, the private sector, the youth. It has been quite engaging, and we are really happy that we've reached this stage, and we feel the country is ready to go and participate in the COP effectively. And we really think that this time it is really going to be a different COP. We have even new thematic areas coming on board, that is health and the children. And I think this is going to be very, very exciting. All along, these two thematic areas were not very well embedded in our discussions during the COPs. So for me as a country, I feel it is all inclusive. All society is part and parcel of this COP. And that really makes us, me very excited, because climate change is not about one or two sectors. It's about all of us. So it should be a combined effort. So to me, it is a very big plus for the COP28. Thank you.
Dr. Calista, as we move out of here.
Oh, thank you very much. I have been chairing the COP Programs Pavilion Committee, and I really want to assure Ugandans that we are well prepared. As I said, for 2 weeks, Uganda's pavilion is going to be very busy. We have over 60 sessions that will be running on our pavilion, and we have made sure that we have good quality. We have reviewed the videos that are going to be showcased. We have reviewed the plans people are going to have. So we are going to put up a very good show, and I must say that Uganda is going to benefit. Uganda will shine at the international level, and we expect that when we come back, we'll be having very, very good news for Uganda in terms of financing, in terms of opportunities for capacity building, for technology, and mobilizing resources, and getting Uganda to be a country that is attractive in terms of tourism and investment for the international community. Again, we want to thank those who are supporting us, have supported us in the preparations, but also are supporting us to have the programs at the pavilion run efficiently, and we do hope that they will see the value for their support and resources. And again, we also want to thank UBC and the other media houses for being with us, and we hope that during COP, they will bring the messages from COP to Ugandans, even when some Ugandans will not be at COP. Thank you very much, and we look forward to very interesting discussion during the 2 weeks of COP.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Calista and Commissioner Margaret, for your time, and of course all the effort that has been put in to ensure that we do not merely participate, but we have Uganda, we have East Africa, we have Africa's interests forwarded. We wish for the best and hope for the best out of this scope, more so when you talk about the loss and damage fund. And more so what Commissioner Margaret put forward here is to ensure that we get to know if these funds are there, how best do we benefit, how best. And also, Doctor, when you mentioned that only 10% of this money really gets the intended person, that means there's still so much work. We wish you the best. We wish Uganda, we wish East Africa, we wish Africa the best when it comes to COP28 that will be running in the United Arab Emirates from the 30th of November till the 12th of December. Have a lovely day. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy, Wanawoli.
Junko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Amina gange ndetibwa Nakiranda Amina mu company eya WIB Uganda Limited ndi member. Wemba member company eno weyeida twalinga tutuli bulungi nga abashala abe wakawaka. Abashala abe wakawaka tuwemera kuba amibe ifenga bonkana abajamu nadanga twidi nti abashala tibakozesa